Good morning. I'm going to read chapter 2 from James DeKorne's The Gnostic Book of Changes. This chapter is one of the two that I think are absolutely indispensable, and I can't wait to discuss them with more people and hear some responses to them. The book was never published, and it's available for free online. The first half of this chapter is a little more basic. The second half is a lot deeper. So today, or right now at least, I'll record the first half, and maybe later today or some other day record the second half. So this is chapter 2, and it starts with a note. The observant reader will perceive that concepts originally developed in this chapter have been cut and pasted into some of my subsequent work, notably psychedelic shamanism and the cracking tower. As it became unlikely over time that the present document would ever see print, I shamelessly mined its material for more publishable venues. I beg the reader's indulgence for this. The data are complex, closely argued, and easily bear repetition. Chapter 2, The Dimensional Nature of Consciousness. As wide as is this space around us, so wide is this space within the heart. In it both sky and earth are concentrated, both fire and wind, both sun and moon, lightning and the stars. What a man possesses here on earth and what he does not possess, everything is concentrated in this tiny space within the heart. From the Chandogya Upanishad, 8.1.5. This much we know for sure. 1. We are born in a physical body. A physical body which experiences a space-time dimension of reality on a planet which orbits a star and a multiverse of other stars. 2. We live for an indeterminate number of revolutions of this planet around our sun, but seldom more than 100. 3. We die. That is, our body permanently loses consciousness and is reabsorbed into the basic compounds and elements which comprise the planet. We're born, we live, and then we die. Nobody can argue with that. We are temporary creatures in this space-time dimension. We have no memory of consciousness before our birth. The events which occurred previous to our awareness here are known to us as history. Like the newspaper version of events in the present, history is an uncertain image of what may have happened in the past, and the events of the future are even more nebulous. All that we can know empirically takes place in the present. A present in which consciousness is periodically interrupted by sleep. During these dormant cycles, our awareness is eclipsed by a darkness which is occasionally punctuated with dreams, wherein ambiguous images act out enigmatic dramas. For the most part, we ignore these cerebral events. Some people claim no memory of them at all. And in most quarters, it is considered a measure of one's grasp of reality to ignore dreams and remain focused on practical matters. The getting of a living and the engagement with what will tomorrow be called history, but today is called real life. Thus it is that the temporary and intermittent consciousness of a physical space-time dimension is generally considered the standard for what is real, and the dark and nebulous nighttime awareness of a dimension akin to eternity is deemed illusory and unreal. And since human life in space-time is both uncertain and ephemeral, it is a common cultural assumption that the consciousness which animates the human body is equally temporary. We are impermanent, even incidental creatures, and that's all there is to it. If there were no such thing as dreams and other autonomous emanations from the unconscious psyche, this view would be justifiable. But the fact is that the materialistic conception of reality which still dominates Western thought, can only be sustained by ignoring the nighttime half of our awareness. To claim that the day is real, but the night is not, is simply incorrect. It may well be said that the contemporary cultural consciousness has not yet absorbed into its general philosophy the idea of the unconscious and all that it means, despite the fact that modern man has been confronted with this idea for more than half a century. The assimilation of the fundamental insight that psychic life has two poles still remains a task for the future. Carl Jung, Memories, Dreams, Reflections. Psychic life, which is to say human life, has two poles, the conscious and the unconscious. By conscious is meant the subjective experience of being in a body, which is aware of both an external world of objects and an internal world of thoughts, feelings, and drives. By unconscious is meant the subjective experience of unwilled autonomous thoughts, feelings, and drives, which emanate from somewhere within our awareness. The latter usually take the form of dreams, hypnagogic imagery, and unwilled effects or emotions. In the symbolism of the psyche, consciousness is associated with light, and the unconscious is associated with darkness. These daytime and nighttime realms of reality are commonly experienced as a continuously shifting continuum, ranging from alert wakefulness to deep dreamless sleep. Hence, it may be logically inferred that the two realms are one, though we usually experience them as separate. The continuum in itself is a whole, though we perceive it as many different states of being, from inner to outer and back again. It must be emphasized that both conscious and unconscious awareness is subjective. Each of us perceives our apparently common world from a unique point of view of a separate individual personality. This is because we live in a multiverse, not a universe. Logically speaking, only the universe itself is capable of perceiving itself as one. From the standpoint of everyday awareness, the concept of a universe is an abstraction. We can imagine it as one, but we experience it as many. For the moment, I'm ignoring the experience of the mystic, which is precisely the shifting of awareness from the many to the one. The overwhelming mass of humanity is still dealing with multiplicity. Hence, each differentiated self-conscious entity, by definition, perceives subjectively. From the scientist who devotes his life to the pursuit of objective truth, to the most irrational hysteric, we cannot avoid the fact that each of us is a separate, individual, subjective observer of the multiverse. And let us not forget that this multiverse is both inner and outer, since those who pay close attention to the events in their unconscious soon discover a beyond within, at least as infinite as the outer realm of stars and galaxies. This is not to claim that there is no objective universe, only that all non-mystical experience of it is of a multiverse. To that extent, there are as many multiverses as there are observers. The universe itself may be thought of as the sum total of all the subjective experiences of it, plus what it is in itself. Objectivity, then, is only a relative standard of perception, an utterly essential and invaluable concept, but ultimately incapable of realization via ordinary rational processes. True objectivity, the mystical state of consciousness, since it is one, by definition transcends all categories of differentiation, and is hence incapable of being described. It is one of life's greatest ironies that true objectivity may only be experienced subjectively. Human perception, then, is identical with subjective awareness, which is divided into two distinct realms of that which is perceived, an internal realm, the mind, both conscious and unconscious, and an external realm, the physical multiverse, also called space-time. This is the ground of what it is to be, and all metaphysics, all psychology must begin from this point. Metaphysics, literally the study of that which lies beyond the physical, can semantically only refer to realms of consciousness. That which cannot be identified with the exterior multiverse, the matter-energy continuum, belongs to the realm of awareness. Perhaps not always the unconscious per se, but certainly including the interior multiverse we have so labeled. Metaphysics is the branch of philosophy which deals with ultimate questions of reality. Obviously, in order to know how to live properly, one should have a concept of what, if anything, life is all about. Unfortunately, the realm of metaphysics lies beyond the relative objectivity of the scientific method. Therefore, the possibilities of erroneous perception are amplified enormously. Psychology is the study of the human psyche. Because it deals with ineffable inner states, it is also largely immune to scientific method, and hence vulnerable to error. If only there were some way of finding universal patterns in the psyche, and of correlating these patterns with the aims of metaphysics, we would have a plausible standard by which to live properly. That is to say, to make valid choices in our lives. The great Swiss psychologist Carl Gustav Jung devoted his life to the exploration and study of the unconscious realms of the deep psyche and their interface with the questions of metaphysics. One of his main contributions to the field was his differentiation of our often unruly images into comprehensible categories. Jung redefined the human psychic template on the basis of empirical scientific observation. Rather than the gods and demons of a complicated theology, he differentiated no less wonderful inner drives, complexes, and archetypal forces, which comprise the raw hidden energies informing our choices. Those who are interested in tracing his line of reasoning will find that Jung's description of the psyche is a modern paraphrase of the ancient Gnostic conception of the multiverse. In a television interview held shortly before he died, Jung was asked if he believed in God. "I don't believe," he began, and then after a dramatically long pause continued, "I know." This is the unmistakable statement of a Gnostic, one who knows. Gnosticism is knowing as opposed to believing, a distinction described in the Taoist proverb, "He who knows does not speak. He who speaks does not know." Knowing in this sense can only be experienced, and it cannot be communicated except indirectly via symbolism. Perhaps the proverb could be more succinctly stated as, "Believers speak, knowers can only point." A full and true gnosis, then, is the subjective experience of objectivity, that attainment of oneness which is beyond description, because description is differentiation, and differentiation is, by definition, not oneness. Analytical Jungian psychology is a Gnostic system, as is the Kabbalah, the mystical branch of Judaism. There are many such systems, among which are Tibetan Buddhism and the psychic worldview of Seth, the disincarnate personality who spoke through the late trance medium Jane Roberts. Gnostic symbolism, no matter where it comes from, is amazingly consistent and suggests a core gestalt or operating template within the unconscious psyche. Recent research into the functions of the left and right hemispheres of the brain support a Gnostic view of the personality, as does evidence now emerging from the study of multiple personality disorder. These and other findings provide a new doorway into the study of the unconscious. So I think I'll pick it up there in the next one, which he starts to lay out basically this Gnostic view and how it correlates to Jung's conception. I'll try to do that right now. We'll see how it goes.